So if there's one thing the new Spider-Verse flick wants you to know, it's that the character has seen a lot of iterations over the years. But what if I told you that there is a Spider-Man out in the ether that they don't want you to see? Like an entire movie that was so laughably bad that Marvel has seemingly gone out of their way to erase it from history. Now imagine it's not just one movie, but three. An entire trilogy of theatrically released Spider-Man movies that only folks of a certain age and geography will remember. Before Tom, there was Andrew. Before Andrew, there was Toby. But before Toby, there was this guy. And if you think I'm pulling your leg, buckle up, because you're in for a wild ride. In 1977, CBS and Columbia Pictures had snagged the rights to produce a live-action Spider-Man television series. It got the can after 13 episodes, despite being a ratings success because the network was worried that they'd become known as a one-trick pony, having just aired productions of The Incredible Hulk, Captain America, Doctor Strange, as well as Wonder Woman and a few other DC characters. Executives worried that Spidey would be just one superhero too many, and they didn't want to risk flooding the market. Oh, how times have changed. But the thing is, with only 13 episodes to show for their efforts, Columbia was less than satisfied. These were the days before DVD box sets and streaming, after all, so unless the network decided to air reruns for whatever reason, their scrapped TV show would just stay locked in a vault forever. But with Spider-Man's popularity picking up steam overseas, Columbia got a brilliant idea. Instead of forking out more money to produce more stuff with the character, why not just kitbash the best episodes of that TV show together and repackage them as feature-length films to release theatrically for international audiences? Say hello to the original Spider-Man Trilogy, a breathtakingly lowbrow, low-budget production that is the perfect fit for the internet age.
That's right, Peter. I'm you, and you're me, and this is a gun.
So the first movie, 1977's Spider-Man, introduces the hero in, let's just say, an atypical way. The whole thing starts with this truly bizarre cold open where a doctor and lawyer are hypnotized by these weird-looking lapel pins and together pull off a daring bank robbery. They then off themselves in a getaway car crash, and two rando goobers show up to grab the cash and dispose of the evidence. The first thing that hits you is that this movie is like aggressively 70s. From the soundtrack to the cars to the clothes, if it's not your style, you're gonna have a bad time. So we pick back up at the Daily Bugle, where high school teenager Peter Parker is attempting to get a job as a freelance photographer. He's portrayed by actor Nicholas Hammond, who, if you look close enough, you might be able to tell is an almost 30-year-old man. No CGI de-aging in sight, just actors living in the moment. The Bugle's head honcho, Jonah Jameson, thinks he thinks Peter Parker's pictures stink, but a breaking news bulletin grabs his attention. Some anonymous villain has claimed responsibility for the bank robbery downtown and boasts of having brainwashed two of the city's most upstanding citizens to do his dirty work. He threatens to brainwash 10 more high-profile victims unless the city coughs up $50 million. As the Bugle debates whether the story is legit or just an elaborate prank, our hero goes back to school and heads to the chemistry lab to check up on some of his class experiments. After shooting the breeze with a fellow classmate about the mind control story, Peter fumbles around with his lab equipment and then gets bitten by a radioactive spider. Wait, that's how they do it? So another lame bank heist takes place, and Peter kind of shuffles out of the lab dazed and confused, just in time to find himself caught in the path of the getaway car. I say caught like it's dangerous, but the car is only going like 7 miles an hour. Is he trying to run him over? This is probably the most glaring problem that these movies have. These car chases are supposed to be deadly, but I mean... Like, are you kidding me? Peter discovers that after the bite, he now has wall-crawling superpowers, allowing him to climb to safety, even though, again, if he just steps off to the side, he's probably in the clear. He hops back down to the scene of the crime and snaps a few pics for the Bugle. This puts him in the crosshairs of one detective something who's bent on cracking the case of the mysterious mind control bank robbery hostage heist. He thinks Peter's being in the right place at the right time is a little too convenient, but without any real evidence, he lets our boy go and makes arrangements to question him later. Parker goes home, passes out, hallucinates his way through a deep sleep, and awakens to find himself fully spider-fied. He crawls his way around the outside of his house, and boy howdy, get a load of these visual effects. Whatever works. With a new lease on life, Peter goes downtown and starts scaling buildings for fun, stops a purse snatcher, and then heads to the Bugle with his crime scene photos in hand. JJ is no longer interested, but the news of a mysterious, heroic Spider-Man has quickly gotten around town.
You hear that, Robbie? Mr. Parker here saw a Spider-Man. Isn't that wonderful? What do you look like?
Oh, like a spider.
How many legs do you have?
Well, 2, of course. He's a man.
You just said he was a spider. Spiders have got lots of legs.
He's not a spider. He's a full-grown man.
Are you on drugs?
The Bugle wants pics of the wall crawler, so Peter goes home, throws together a goofy costume, and sets up a solo photo shoot. Also, hey, what do you know? Aunt May is in this movie for a hot minute, and she's a total drag.
Peter, did you take your allergy pills? Peter!
Ugh. Peter heads back to the office with his pics, and a skeptical yet impressed JJ debates whether to run the Spider-Man story in the Bugle. Getting a call that a new bank robbery car crash has just occurred, he decides to send Peter out on his first official assignment to cover the crime scene. Detective Something's more than a little peeved to see Parker again, but thanks to our hero's quick thinking, the driver of the car survives and gets transferred to a local hospital. So long story short, the driver is a well-respected English teacher who claims to have been under mind control. Peter meets his daughter Judy, and the two visit the hospital to gather possible clues. Before long, the mysterious big baddie sends a lackey to activate Mr. Manchurian Candidate again, commanding him to jump out of the hospital window.
Hurry up! Get up there! Move it!
Do something!
I already did.
This is the slowest paced rescue scene ever. Wait, so he's climbing to the top of the building? And then runs across the rooftop and then climbs down to where the guy is at? How is that? So Pete saves the day. Afterward, he and Judy then continue their hunt for the mind controller and eventually end up at a self-help guru that her father had recently begun seeing. Discount Mad-Eye Moody's got quite a collection of well-off rubes, and while Peter's spidey sense tells him that something is off, Judy falls for the con hook, line, and sinker. Peter heads back to school to build his web shooters, taking time to practice with them in the park. By the way, they just keep looping the same song over and over and over again anytime there's an action scene. It's totally great. Peter's got this at-home radio machine for some reason, and he manages to pick up the brain control signal and follows it downtown to find the source, cue more awful wall crawling and more awful music. Wouldn't you know it, the signal leads to Mad-Eye Moody's office. Once Spider-Man slips inside to investigate, he is randomly attacked by these 3 dudes with kendo swords, which I was not expecting that. They're just gonna stand there and not move around? Just gonna watch him do that? After an impeccably choreographed fight scene, Spidey hightails it out of there and races to an appointment with Detective Something.
What am I gonna do about Spider-Man? How do I know? I'm a cop, not an exterminator.
Yes,
Send that kid in here.
right away, Captain. Hey, Parker. Captain wants you, huh?
The detective starts getting a hunch that Peter is somehow involved in the robberies, but our boy plays coy, leaving him perplexed. Afterward, Pete pays Mad-Eye Moody a visit in his civvies and falls for the evil guru's trap, getting fitted for a lapel pin of his own. Luckily, his spider senses help him overcome the indoctrination, and he returns to the office in full regalia. The Kendo Bros return for a rooftop showdown, and Pete is forced to use his web shooters to make a hasty retreat, breaking his arm in the process. He's forced to hitch a ride in the back of a trash truck and heads home to bandage his wounds and regroup. With the mayor having lined up the $50 million ransom and Mad-Eye setting his sights on a getaway plane, it looks like the villain may just get away with it. He lines up his 10 victims, including Peter, who heads to the Empire State Building to jump off. But thanks to the building's safety bars, Pete's mind control lapel pin gets torn off and he regains his agency. Kind of a missed opportunity for that Judy lady to help him, but whatever. I'm not the screenwriter here. With no time to lose, he races to the guru's office and disables his radio dish, saving the other hostages just in time. With the Kendo dudes now no longer under Mad-Eye's control, they eagerly let Spidey into the boss's office, and our hero discovers that the doc's tech has backfired, leaving him open to suggestion. Peter tells him to turn himself in to the police, and Mad-Eye obliges. With the day saved, the detective gets his man, Peter gets the girl, and Jonah gets his pictures. Yes, we're all winners here.
How come you're the only one who's able to get pictures of him?
Simple. I believe.
What? All in all, a rather weird start to the cinematic franchise, but don't worry, the follow-up flick is even weirder. Spider-Man Strikes Back premiered in theaters the next year and cranked the action up to 11 by introducing a femme fatale and nuclear threat, just like all great American movies. So by now, Peter has been doing the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man thing for a while. He's garnered quite a bit of public support, although he still runs like a total goober. In the day-to-day, Pete's been working his way up the Daily Bugle totem pole, still taking his Spidey picks, still wishing he was assigned to more important stories. Also, there's a new guy playing JJ, much grumpier, different kind of mustache. Same. Living the triple life of crime fighter, newsman, and student isn't easy. By the time Strikes Back starts, Pete's at the end of his rope. One day at school, Parker's professor announces that the class will be conducting an experiment with, wait for it, plutonium on loan from the United States government, because that makes sense. This being the 70s, the students are extremely concerned about the message it sends by playing around with such dangerous material and are less than enthused with the assignment. 3 of Peter's fellow classmates turn out to be anti-nuclear activists, and they hatch a plan to turn the assignment into a public protest. They choose to do this, hold on to your hats, by stealing the plutonium, building an atomic bomb of their own, and then revealing it to the world as a public demonstration to advocate for global disarmament. Honestly, what could go wrong?
Someday atomic bombs are gonna be like electric can openers. Everybody's gonna have one.
Well, so the kids break into the school, Peter's Spidey sense goes off. This is what that looks like, by the way. He rushes to the scene, the hapless security guards throw a wrench in things, and Spider-Man is blamed for the theft. This puts Police Captain Whoever back on the hunt, and by extension, Peter in his crosshairs. To make matters worse, across the country in California, the Weekly Examiner is just so happening to do an expose on the web crawler, and they send hotshot reporter Gail Hoffman to New York to cover the story. Her only lead? Hapless teenage newspaper photographer Peter Parker. By the way, the Examiner's headquarters, eerily similar to the Daily Bugle set from the previous movie. You use what you got, you know? The activist students are big mad that they have been relegated to page 10. They set out to construct the bomb with renewed vigor. Gale arrives in town and we get our movie's meet cute.
Mr. Jameson. Mr. Parker. How nice to meet you. I have been looking forward to this.
Well, it's very nice to meet you too, Miss
Ms. Hoffman.
Ooh la la. Pete and Gale flirt back and forth. Meanwhile, we're introduced to the elusive Mr. White, the movie's main villain. His entire character arc is extremely confusing to me. I don't get it. Evidently, he's a mastermind terrorist stationed in Los Angeles with his own secret compound and personal bodyguards. He has a habit of, I guess, perusing local newspapers from across the country, sees the Bugle's story about the plutonium theft, somehow deduces that it was a group of students who stole it, has his henchmen track down records of the student body, and for some odd reason concludes that Peter was the thief. The amount of narrative hoops you have to jump through to get that to make sense. So Mr. White lures Peter and Gale to a hotel where he plans to steal the plutonium for himself. This results in our first big dust-up of the movie. There's this weird guy in a tux that keeps karate chopping everything. I have no idea why. Peter uses his death-defying abilities to escape with Gale, but shortly after arriving at a hideout, Captain Detective whoever shows up with the FBI to take Peter into custody under suspicion of being Spider-Man's accomplice. The students manage to complete the bomb, but after one of them falls ill due to radiation poisoning, they get the bright idea to rush her to the hospital while leaving the weapon completely unsupervised, because, of course, Peter gets booked, released, loses his job, goes home, gets the news about his classmate, and rushes to the hospital for answers. Mr. White quickly learns that the bomb is out in the wild and heads to the classmate's apartment to grab it. Peter throws on his costume, webs his way over to stop them, and we get another rooftop fight scene. Is that a sword? Why does everybody have swords in these movies? Mr. White escapes with the bomb, the students spill the beans about the plutonium, getting Peter off the hook from the FBI, and once he's a free man, he tracks Mr. White to Los Angeles to get it back. A couple of slow-speed chase scenes later, Spider-Man's on the lot of a Wild West production, and he takes out Mr. White's henchmen. Gale gets kidnapped, just because, and our hero heads to White's hideout to settle the score. A last-minute twist reveals that White plans to reprogram and detonate the bomb during a presidential visit. You all already know how this thing ends. Our hero overcomes the odds, disarms the weapon just in time, saves the day, gets his job back, and shares the last few moments of the movie with the leading lady, hinting at a romance that will ultimately go absolutely nowhere. You might think that the studio would then drop movie number 3 the very next year. You would be wrong. Spider-Man: The Dragon's Challenge arrived in theaters in 1981. I'm not going to lie to you. I fell asleep during this movie. To give you an idea of just how bad this probably was for the original audience, imagine walking into theaters in 1981 and being given the option to watch either Raiders of the Lost Ark, a Spielberg masterpiece, or a dated, low-budget American TV show haphazardly repackaged to function as a quasi-feature-length film. Spider-Man: The Dragon's Challenge does a lot of things wrong, but by far the greatest sin is that it is shockingly boring. The overly convoluted storyline goes something like this. There's a man named Min who serves as the head of industrial development in China. He's set to award a power plant contract worth $1 billion to a particular industrialist. However, there is a rival competitor also bidding on the job named Zyder. Zyder knows that Min knows that he's a big baddie, and so he hatches a plan to boot Min from the ministry, knowing that his replacement will award him the contract instead. So he plans to frame Min for espionage committed during the days of his military service, alleging that he sold secrets to the US military. Turns out Min actually was approached by the US and offered a large sum of money to spill what he knew when he was younger, but at the time he refused the offer. The only people who know that he didn't sell out are the 3 Marines who secretly met with him in a Chinese village some 30-odd years ago. So, knowing that his reputation is about to be smeared by Zyder, Min flees Hong Kong and arrives to America in the hopes of tracking the 3 Marines down and asking them to testify in China on his behalf. Clear as mud? Great, here's how Spider-Man fits into it. Min is old pals with Jay Jameson, and so he shows up one day at the Daily Bugle with his charming niece in the hopes that the paper will be able to find the Marines in time before Min is replaced and the power plant contract is finalized. Basically, it's just a movie about a Chinese real estate dispute, but like, with Spider-Man or whatever. By now, Joan is on good terms with Peter Parker, who has risen to become one of the Bugle's best investigative journalists. Having recently finished a story involving the State Department, he figures that Peter can use his contacts to find the three mysterious men without raising suspicion, because the whole time this is going on, the big baddie Zyder has been tracking Min and plans to assassinate him if the smear campaign fails. Sort of. Zyder's actually subcontracted the dirty work out to another dude who has his own set of goons, but that's a whole other headache. Much of this movie is spent just explaining all of this convoluted storyline by way of long, drawn-out conversations between various minor characters in extremely dull locations with next to no music or action at all. It's a slog. It takes forever for Peter to even enter into the picture, and his role as Spider-Man also takes a backseat. The action scenes are few and far in between, and are somehow even slower and more awkward than the previous movies. And again, they keep looping one music track over and over and over again throughout the movie. Why did they do that? The only copy of the movie that I managed to find was in pretty rough shape, and the fact that most of the scenes take place in super muddy and dark locations did not help matters. There's this absurd action scene where Peter actually gets shot in the New York subway, but somehow just shakes it off, leaves the station, walks across the street, and buys a hot dog. And he's like, just tweak my shoulder, I'll be alright. The big draw of this movie was supposed to be that, hey, it's Spider-Man in China, but they don't even get there until like the last half hour of the flick, because each of the three Marines has to have their own little side story, and most of the movie is spent watching Peter try to protect Min from various waves of subpar assassins. By the time we actually get overseas, you can tell the producers like really wanted to drive home that they had to go out on location to shoot this, because there's like a solid 10 minutes of Peter and Min's niece just going to various hotspots and showcasing Eastern culture. This goes on forever. It's like a travel show. So my favorite part of this movie is this hilarious moment that is clearly shot guerrilla style in the streets of Hong Kong, where Nicholas Hammond is trying desperately to get to the front of the group for the camera, and this random lady next to him is just like not having it. Also, check out how smoothly he slips a tracker into this guy's pocket.
Nothing to worry about, I tell you.
No, I guess you're right. I worry too much.
So as per the usual, the final showdown takes place in a high-rise, we get some martial arts action on the rooftop, and then Spidey takes Zyder down in his boardroom.
Spider-Man? I didn't know you worked outside New York.
I don't, usually.
I know I'm one to talk right now, but like, how does the costume look worse and worse with each passing movie? Is it like the only one they had? If I have to rank them, it'd go 2, 1, 3, but honestly, Strikes Back wins it by like a country mile. They are definitely quirky takes on the Spider-Man character. Watching each movie is really like opening up a time capsule, and I think that they are enjoyable if you accept them for what they are and nothing more. Evidently, the Spider-Man TV show was like a huge hit back in the day, so I'm a little surprised that Marvel seems to have like gone out of their way to try and erase it from history. They have never remastered or re-released it for Blu-ray, DVD, or streaming. The only way to watch it is by finding like bootleg versions online, or if you have old VHS tapes of it. Maybe this video will get the ball rolling on something, although I won't get my hopes up. Hey, did you know know that there was a web-slinging superhero eerily similar to Spider-Man that hit shelves almost 20 years earlier? She's called the Spider Queen, and I'm bringing her back as part of the Super Zeros, my own cinematic universe of forgotten heroes of old. I wrote a new origin story for her, and it's out right now. You can visit the link in this video's description, pick up a copy, and jump into the world of Shannon Kane, the Spider Queen. It's no Dragon's Challenge, but it's something. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. They've got everything you need to make a beautiful website. Start by choosing from one of their stunning customizable templates and then shape it to your specific needs. Let's say you want to start a podcast, but you don't want to have to deal with all of that annoying logistical stuff. Their Audio Blocks feature handles it for you. Maybe you want to build a private community. They offer member areas. Even if you have an idea for a business, they can help you set up your online storefront. You can check it out for free by starting a trial at squarespace.com. If you like the experience, then when you're ready to launch your site in full, head over to squarespace.com/AustinMcConnell to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.